All right, we're here deep in the Himalayas, along the Ganges River, several miles deep, past Rishikesh, to begin a series of satsangs or talks on self-realization. Best place to start in a discussion of self-realization is simply by asking oneself, who am I? Most people go through their whole life not really knowing who they are, why they were born, what the purpose of their life is. So they may accumulate wealth, they may have many rich experiences with their work and family, but they never really end up knowing who they are or why they were born. They feel a sense of a lack of fulfillment and true happiness and peace. So the question I want to ask each of you is, how far from your house do you need to go to find your way home? You've never been anything other than that which you already are. Most of us look outside of ourselves to find the answers, but the answers lie within us. The source of happiness and peace lie within too. The source of life itself lies within us. A spark of divinity, our spirit and our soul lies within. So we begin our journey of self-realization by inquiring into the nature of the self, by looking within and saying, who am I and why was I born? Once you realize that there's something to be realized, your realization has begun. May the whole world live in happiness and peace.
What is awakening?
Well, it's a very good question. And it's the one we all have to ask ourselves, and we don't typically. Because people don't realize that we've been asleep. We've been living ignorance of our own self, what God is, and our purpose in life, and that's why we suffer. So what we're awakening from is the dream of not knowing who we are. Our mind has an idea of who it thinks it is based on our conditioning. I'm a Steven, I'm a man, I'm a guru or investment banker, whatever I am, and we start identifying with different ideas. And so what we're awakening to is if we've been in a dream of a certain life experience, and now we are awakening to the realization of who we really are and why we were born. And so this is occurring all over the world. Everyone listening to this talk right now is a part of a small but rapidly growing segment of the population that is awakening. Awakening to the realization that there's something to be realized. Awakening to the fact that they're an eternal spirit, or there's some other part of themselves than just their body and their mind and their mundane existence. They're looking for something more. They're awakening from their ignorance and into the light.
What is consciousness?
Consciousness is that from which everything we can become conscious of originates from, which is virtually everything. So I like to think of consciousness as Shiva. You know, here we are in Rishikesh. This is the home of Shiva. The Ganga is believed to be outpouring from Shiva. It's the consciousness outpouring. So Shiva is the latent potentiality through which everything arises out of, is sustained by, and merges back into. So consciousness is the latent potentiality. It's what could be when reflected upon. Now the reflection creates an apparent separation. That's the Shakti. So we always look at Shiva in terms of Shiva and Shakti. Latent potential, patent expression. Consciousness, energy. And that play between the two is Shiva's dance, which we know is Nataraj. The dancing in the mandala of fire, the creating and the destroying of universes, the creating and destroying of mind and ideas and anything that can be created. So creation is an act of change. It is Shakti. So we see that in everything that is alive, there's something Shakti in it, but its ultimate nature is consciousness. The underlying essence of everything is consciousness.
What is global enlightenment?
Well, global enlightenment will be when we all enter a state of God realization, or Zion. We live in God's kingdom of heaven on earth and live and create joy and happiness and peace on earth. We feel fulfilled, we feel loved because we live in God's grace. So each person becomes our brother. We alleviate poverty, and we all work to alleviate people that don't eat should all have food. People should all have clothing. People should have a house to live in. People should have medical care. To just leave people on the street to suffer is inhumane. It's unconscious. So I'm picturing a world where we all not only live together in happiness and peace, but we're eating clean foods and have clean, affordable energy. We're not having to struggle so much. We don't have to struggle. It's only a conflict between the rich and the poor that are creating the suffering in mankind. There's more than enough resources for everybody in the world.
Enlightenment is just getting back to our original self, the true values, and be like a child again from within. Innocence and intelligence together makes enlightenment. There are people who are intelligent but are very cunning, and there are innocent who are not intelligent. When the combination of innocence and intelligence happens, and it is possible, and human beings are capable of carrying the value of head and heart together. For this, the first thing is we need to get rid of stress. You know, stress, I would say, is too much to do, too little time and no energy. That's exactly you get stressed. So either you have to reduce your wants, which doesn't seem to be possible these days, or you have to increase the time. That again is not possible. Everybody has the same 24 hours a day. The only option you are left with to increase your energy level. And that's what the breathing exercises, pranayama, kriya, meditation, they all do. They bring up your energy, the life force in you. And that takes away the stress and strain that we collect during the course of time. And then the next thing is to broaden our vision, change our perception. have more trust in oneself and in the goodness in society, and a power which is beyond. The three type of trust that can move our life towards where we want it to go. Having said this, I would say the next thing, the third thing that one has to do is to actively engage in service activity. Engaging in service activity can make a big difference to one's perspective about the world. And it is possible and it is doable. This is what we need to understand. Usually, when we see in the news everywhere, the world is torn apart and there is terrorism and there is all this problem of corruption and crime and suicides, then usually one tends to lose one's hope of seeing a better world, a better future for tomorrow. I would say it is here that you need to have faith that the truth will prevail, good will prevail. Though we see all these dark forces all around, we must see that light has the power to move. That faith, that confidence one need to get.
See, I think enlightenment is overrated, really, if you ask me the word. Most people think to realize that, being enlightened means you just stop being a human and you become a god or godlike, or you become a guru, or you become a Buddha. All these might be different, perceptions, but the way I look at enlightenment is really connecting to your own self, connecting to your being, who you are.
Yeah.
And once that happens, you're just enlightened. If you don't believe me, you can, shut off the lights here and I'll glow.
So the realization of the self, who you really are.
Absolutely.
Good.
Enlightenment does actually mean, in fact, the Indian word I think it's a literal translation of the Indian word which says Jyoti, what is lit inside you, and it also means that it spreads. For example, you can light a candle from another candle, and the original light of the first candle doesn't dim or go down. So the other candle lights itself, and the third one, and the fourth one, and slowly you'll see the whole world, is enlightened. So that is what enlightenment is all about,
Exactly. And that's exactly what we're trying to do here. Getting people to think about it, connect with it, and realize.
Oh, I love your project, really.
Every individual is peaceful within himself or herself. It is only from that the world peace can happen. Without individual peace, there is no world peace, because there is no world, there are only individuals.
The truth is the existence alone. The human being or any being on the earth or in the cosmos come and go. The Atma alone exists everywhere. It never come and never go. It exists. Because the people do not know what come and why at all we have come and where from we have come, what is the purpose of our visit to the world, where we are going, we don't know. We are simply tempted with our illusionary angle of living and with the five senses. They think the enjoyment over the five things are true. And this is come and going for the survival, for for the body survival only. If they know their own reality, if the people know their own reality, the illusion automatically goes away.
I'm Gwen. I've been a student of spirituality, meditation, and the lineage of the great Siddha Yogas for many years. I feel blessed to be studying with the great Shaktipat Siddha Master Steven Sadleir. I share his vision for global enlightenment, and I'm very grateful to be part of the team.
I wanted to ask you a couple questions about religion.
Sure.
So we were talking about religion. And
Good.
the first question is, why are there various religions in the world?
Well, because there's different cultures, really. If you look at the foundation of each religion, there was an inspired being. Abraham, Moses, Jesus Christ, the Prophet Muhammad, the Buddha, let's say. You know, when we look at Guru Nanak, as we look at the different religions of the world, we see that man is always striving to know who he is and why he was born, who God is. And that's what I did before I wrote my book on world religions, looking for God. I climbed to the top of the Palisades Glacier, some 14,000 feet, and I was sitting on top of the mountain beseeching God. Who am I? Who are you? Why was I born? These are fundamental questions we all have deep inside ourselves. And as I was sitting on the top of the mountain, I got this inspiration. God does speak to you, that we do have a connection with our Creator, and the Creator is always trying to guide us. So my guidance was to write a book on all the religions of the world. We call it Looking for God. It's been a bestseller. It's still on Amazon, by the way. And in the course of doing over 20 years of looking into all the religions of the world, what I really discovered is we all kind of believe the same thing. We all believe there is a Creator, by whatever name we call it, but at different ages and in different cultures, we reflect on God in different ways. There's simply different words for the same God, really, in different forms and attributes we give Him. Because there's God itself, which is perhaps an abstract thought. It's beyond our comprehension, really. And then there's God in the sense of how we can relate to creation. Our Creator, we relate to Him through creation itself, that which brings life. So we see God here in nature, up in the Himalayas. There's this sadhus have been coming up here for thousands of years to get away from the city and to connect with God. So I think fundamentally we all have a connection with our Creator, and religion has really been designed to give people some guidance, give people a structure. If you look at religion, for instance, it often focuses on rituals. Rituals that bind communities together, bind a culture, create a culture. Here it would be Shiva and Vishnu as an example, as well as many others, because we have Muslims and Christians and Sikhs and Buddhists and many other groups. But we all believe that there's a God. That's the commonality. And most religions believe that some person or persons were inspired by God to bring forth that understanding of God. And that's what formed the religion. Whatever scripture you look at was an inspired writing. So for me, religions don't really vary much in terms of their fundamental understanding that there's a Creator. We're to listen to and follow the guidance of that Creator, whether that's a personified God or a law to live by, and that we all want that kind of communion with others that ritual and services provide.
He said, practicing spirituality in any way you like, any path you want to follow, that's fine. Don't get into politics, don't bring the politics in. Okay? Now, he also told us that none of the yogis, be it Gautama Buddha or Jesus Christ or even Guru Nanak, they did not start any religions. Okay? They did not discriminate between people. They drew everyone close. They brought everyone close. Everyone had the privilege of being close to them, receiving their blessings, irrespective of which race or which religion or which faith they belong to. Okay? Swamiji also was like that. Okay? Now what I see is that all the terrorism that we are facing in this world today, which is, in my opinion, the biggest challenge to world peace as of today, is but the outcome of religions. right? So one of the ways to do, one of the things to do going forward for the nations, for the peoples, would be to somehow keep ourselves away from the politics in these religions, you know.
Who and what is God? I will say God is pure isness.
Oh, I love it.
God is pure existence. The water is, the flower is, the isness of life is God. Alright? And if you look at the isness of life, the isness of life is all pervading. And if you look at the isness of life, there is intelligence which is operating. See, when a flower blooms, flower is. I'm saying the isness is God. But in the isness, in the flower there is intelligence which is blooming. The intelligence in the flower blooming, the intelligence in your brain asking me a question, the intelligence in my vocal cord giving me an answer, the intelligence in you, the intelligence in me, the intelligence in the flower is the same. Electricity passing through this fan gives fan. Electricity passing through a refrigerator gives coolness. Electricity passing through a heater gives you heat. But the electricity is the same. The manifestation of the electricity is different. So in the Hindu thought, isness and the dynamism of intelligence is God.
I found God through Jesus Christ. I realized God through Vittattari Maharishi, and I merged with God doing tapas with Shiva Bala Yogi. And so maybe that serves as kind of a template, you know, looking at religion. I was brought up in a Christian culture, so that was my perspective on God, and that served me well. But what I learned was, after spending years and years reading the Vedas, the Upanishads, Advaita philosophy, the Mahabharata, the Ramayana, the Yoga Vasista, and plus all the Pali Canon, the Buddha, a lot of Eastern philosophy was absorbed. And what I found is, it was the same thing Jesus Christ was teaching. But in the West, sometimes we don't really understand what Christ was teaching, in my opinion. For instance, we hear the term, the kingdom of the Father lies within, or the kingdom of heaven lies within. It makes it very clear that heaven isn't out there somewhere, that God isn't away from us, God is within us, and his kingdom is being in awareness of God. It's like, Jesus also says, the Father and I are one. Well, there's flesh creating a body, but what are they one in? They're one in spirit, you see, and this is very clearly defined not only in the Eastern philosophies, but in some of the older books that were written about Jesus that were not included in the New Testament, such as the Gospel of Thomas and the Book of Thomas, the Gospel of James, the Gospel of Philip, all dating to the 1st and early 2nd centuries, long before a New Testament even existed. There were many different churches that were espousing different ideas or sharing different stories. And the churches that were founded by Paul in areas that we now call Greece and Italy and Turkey and the northern Mediterranean generally, were somewhat different than what the Semitic Christians in Israel, Jordan, and Egypt and parts of Syria were talking about. They were focusing on the books of, they still had Matthew, but they weren't reading Paul's epistles. They were studying the Gospel of Thomas, the Book of Thomas, the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. It dates, carbon dates. We have at least 6 different papyrus that carbon date to the 1st century. And to have that many different pieces of evidence showing that that book was read, shows it was a very popular book. And even the early church fathers mention that Mary Magdalene started at least 5 different churches in the Levant, in Greater Israel and Palestine. So we knew that women were giving baptisms and that the early Christians were looking within to find God. So if you take the Gospel of Thomas as an example, it's 114 sayings. Thomas basically wrote down notes on things Jesus said. It wasn't a narrative. He didn't write a book. He just took notes. It's a notebook. Half of those sayings we already see in the New Testament, but the other half give us some insights into the deeper meaning of Jesus' words that I would like to share if I could. For instance, we keep hearing about the kingdom of heaven, and Jesus was saying it's either come, it's imminent, it's pending, it's right here, it's available to you. Not not some distance in the future, right here and right now. And he clarifies this in the Gospel of Thomas, where the apostles ask him, Lord, when will the kingdom come? And his answer is, it will not come by waiting for it. You cannot say that it's over here or it's over there. For the kingdom of the Father is spread out before man, but he sees it not. So those that have eyes, let them see. So let's break that down. He says, it will not come by waiting for it. The kingdom of heaven isn't like some time in the future. The kingdom of heaven is when you realize it. It's here. And he was trying to bring them into here. And most of the apostles apparently did find that. They did enlighten, in other words. And he says, you cannot say that it is over here or that it's over there. He's saying it's not some place out there. He's making it very clear. It's here and now. We now refer to this as being the present moment. The power of the present moment. Being here and now. These are the terms we're using to describe what Jesus is talking about. The kingdom of heaven is here. It's spread out before man, but he sees it not. What's he saying? The kingdom of heaven is here. God is here. Heaven is here on earth, but we're not seeing it because we're stuck in our head. We have to open our heart. We have to enlighten to find that. And so Jesus is showing us the way to find the kingdom of heaven that lies within us. That's enlightenment by any other term. He was the avatar of his age to bring us into the awareness of God.
Even in the Bible, there's a beautiful expression, the kingdom of heaven is within you. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, God is within us. Joy is within us. So, when it's within us, then we need to search. Like you search for money, you search for power, you search for a partner in life, search for a joy. And when you search for joy, you will discover one thing. In joy is the fullness of life.
What is meditation?
Well, I'm glad you asked. Meditation is my life, and it's been the single greatest asset and tool for me finding happiness, peace, and fulfillment. And now, after teaching for over 30 years and watching literally tens of thousands of people go through our programs, unquestionably meditation makes a difference in people's life. But meditation means different things to different people, and there's different types of meditation. So if you're going to talk about meditation, it's good to go to the classics like Patanjali. Read the Yoga Sutras, read the Yoga Vasista, or study with a guru, and they all point to something called Ashtanga Yoga as a model, the eighth limb path. And basically, you start off as a yogi or a spiritual aspirant with two basic principles that are called yama and niyama, restraints and observances. So the first restraint would be the lesson of ahimsa, it's called in Sanskrit, non-violence in thought, words, and actions toward yourself and others. And they go down a list similar to the 10 Commandments, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not possess, satya, and vairagya, non-attachment, and so forth. And then there's niyama, which are things you should observe, things that we all tend to practice if we're spiritually oriented, some kind of group togetherness, a satsang, like we're having here, a discussion of God, reading of scripture, and so forth. So there are certain precepts that yogis will begin with that are called yama and niyama, things you do and things you don't want to do. Then you learn the next two steps, which are called asana and pranayama. So asana refers to the physical postures most people think of as yoga. This is your downward dog, your sun salutations. Most of the yoga that's practiced around the world starts with these principles as well as some yoga postures. Now, yoga postures really should be entered into and practiced along with pranayama. So prana is the vital air, yama is law, again. So pranayama means control of the breath. So when you're doing your yoga postures, you should be aware of your breath, and there are different methods of breathing, that different styles of yoga practice. And in fact, pranayama is a form of meditation itself. When I practice Kriya yoga, there are many different forms of pranayama. When I practice Kunalini yoga, there was another set, Tantra yet another set. But some kind of controlled breathing, up and down the spine, through a chakra, moving energy through your body in different ways, is considered pranayama, and it's usually the first type of meditation someone would use or practice, at least in many disciplines. The next level up is called pratyahara. This means withdrawing the mind from sense perception. This tends to be where mantras are used. A mantra, like when I started meditating, I went to TM, and Mahesh Yogi gave me a mantra to practice, and it was invaluable for clearing my mind. My studies went up overnight. It was like magic. Mantra meditation, and there are different primordial sounds that are recorded in the Vedas, and if you go to even Chinese practices, which you have done and studied Taoism, they have certain mantras. If you've studied different Satmat, the Radha Swami, they have certain methods. So all around the world, some kind of intonations of sound have been used to move energy. The other form of pratyahara might be some chanting. For instance, if you're chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and you keep practicing that, that can put you into like a trance-like love state that withdraws your mind from sense perception and worldly things and brings you closer to God. Om Namah Shivaya. You could chant the rosary, whatever works for you. Some kind of practice where words are repeated and you're focusing on not just the tonal quality. Sometimes the sound meditation will be focused, like Om classically, would be on the intonations of O, Ah, O, of these different sounds that vibrate at different levels in your body. And in the same case of mantra meditation, you're also sometimes directed to think of the meaning, more often in a sequence of sounds like Hare Krishna. You're thinking about the Lord, and you're pouring your feelings out to the Lord. It's a practice of bhakti. It's not just making the sound. You're engaged with thinking of God, and you're letting your heart open to God. So this is a very important part. It's not just done rote, in other words. Now, after you've learned some basic meditation, you will typically learn some kind of dharan. This is the next level or tier on this tree called Ashtanga. This is typically some kind of a focalization of point. It could be a focalization on the Guru, it could be on a yantra, like the beautiful yantra we saw at Kalki, Amma Bhagavan's ashram. He had a beautiful yantra up there. And so the focus on a sacred symbol, a mandala, it could be a focus on a chakra. You're staring at your third eye, the Ajna chakra. This is the classic. This is the light switch to help you turn on your life force energy so that light shines brighter and you can feel it and get connected with yourself. Some people will focus on the heart center. In the beginning, that chakra meditation is a dharana, meaning there's concentration. You can further use all the chakras. You can feel light around your body. There are many different focalizations that are part of concentration, trying to entrain the mind to focalize on a single point. So that's maybe a more advanced level than, say, mantra meditation or chanting. Not that you don't still want to use the mantra meditation. I might still chant Om. I may still want to chant Hare Krishna or practice the rosary. But as you advance in your practice, you'll be given much more powerful techniques. And so the next step would be dhyan. And with dhyan, you actually need a guru. You have to be with somebody who's enlightened to experience enlightenment. You can't do it through an effort of your own. It can't be done through a practice. It's not a matter of chanting or focalizing. It's not something you do. It's non-doership. It's Advaita. And this is very clear in all the Yoga Sutras and in all the writings of Eastern mysticism in general, but yoga in particular. And so at this level, this is where something like Shaktipat is by far the most advanced practice, because it doesn't involve you doing. It's complete non-doing. So people are scared of it initially because it takes them out of their comfort zone. They feel very comfortable with one thing. Maybe it's first a mantra, and then they learn Kundalini, and then it's like, well, they don't want to leave what's been working with them before. But as you move into the next level, dhyan, this is pure energy. You are energy. And so the idea is you connecting with your energy and you connecting with the energy of God through the energy of the Guru. And then it happens easily, effortlessly, and enjoyable. And that takes you to the eighth limb, which is samadhi, which means to dissolve completely, basically, to merge your individual consciousness with total consciousness. And even that tends to be at different degrees or tiers. For instance, you may have a Layla samadhi, where you're in kind of a divine intoxicated state. And you experience that all the time on our calls, don't you? So there's that sense of, whoa, I feel stoned and so full of love, I can't contain it, what's going on? That's your first level of samadhi. Then as you move deeper, you'll go into what's called Nivakalpa Samadhi, which is when your individual consciousness finally is unbridled by mind and sense perception, and you merge into the mind of God, as it were. And that's really indescribable, and I'm not able to give you a complete answer. It's something you don't even experience it because the experiencer dissolves. But then there's a true samadhi, and true enlightenment is beyond any experiencing whatsoever. There's nothing to describe, and there's no one to describe it. It's from before we came, before the alpha and after the omega. It's before the beginning and after the end, and it's the medium through which time arises. It's what everything is drawn out of, is sustained by, and merges back into, and everything else is just the Layla, including the one thinking they need to enlighten. So it's ultimately the dissolution of the self.
Meditation is the answer for that. So why would you say meditation is the answer? He said, meditation helps us control our minds. And once the mind is under control, then every person who meditates becomes a better person. Okay? If all people are doing the meditation regularly, then not only the individual upliftment, meditation also helps the interpersonal relationship between people. Because I have my mind under my control, you have your mind under your control. So when we interact, when we deal with each other, it's a very dignified and decent dealing. We respect each other very much. We care for each other. Okay, so this comes from the meditation. So if everybody in a community is doing the meditation to control their minds, then the whole community would be peaceful. As more communities in a country become more and more peaceful, the whole country can be peaceful. And then the whole world can be peaceful.
What is introspection?
Well, introspection is another form of jnana yoga, is when you look within. If we're looking at our mind and observing our mind, that's an example. If I say observe, the observer, observing. So, well, what is that? I'm observing the observer. Okay, I can observe that I'm seeing you, I'm hearing sound, I'm seeing light bounce off your face, I'm aware of the camera, the people that are listening, trying to think. I can observe my mind, thinking, how am I going to explain this to Gwen? Make it clear for the listeners and viewers. So as I observe that, there's some part of me watching what I'm thinking. So if you think of your thoughts as a projection, like if you go to the movie to watch the movies, there might be 60 feet between your chair and the screen. If you're watching the TV, there's maybe 12 feet or 6 feet. If you're on your computer, it's 3 feet or 2 feet. If you're on your cell phone, it might be just 1 feet. But there's someone watching something happening, then there's something happening here. Some play going on, some noise, some visions, some activity. And so in the same way, if we can step back from our mind as the witness, we gain greater objectivity, greater awareness. But now if we turn our awareness around 180 degrees and become aware of that which is aware, if we become conscious of that part of us that is conscious, so that and our own brain begins to realize that we are not our brain. We are the consciousness itself. We're that part of us that is conscious of what's happening in the brain. Matter of fact, there may be nothing happening in the brain. Our consciousness is what it is, whether there's a brain or not, whether there's a body or not. And our consciousness isn't separate from the consciousness itself. So this is why self-realization is God realization, because you realize that your own consciousness is simply like one drop in an ocean of consciousness, and we're all one.
What is a guru?
The true guru lies within you. You got to always remember that the outer guru, the form, whether it's me or one of these other gurus out there, their value to you and their service to you is to help you find what's within you. And the best way to connect with that is to look within yourself. So always remember that the Satguru is within you. But on the other hand, trying to do it all on your own, I think, especially if enlightenment is your goal, if it's just finding happiness and peace, that's one thing. But for true enlightenment, all the teachers that I know, in studying the classics throughout history of gurus, and my own experiences looking at gurus, both while writing Looking for God and more recently as we're doing this global enlightenment project, is realizing that the guru's role is invaluable, in my opinion. To try and do it on your own, I don't know anybody that gets there. I know some people that think they get there, but the people that I would consider truly enlightened all have had a guru. For the more open you are to receive, the more you receive. It's not through your effort that you realize God.
And that leads into the question, what is the role of a guru for an individual?
To help people find the light within themselves, to realize the truth. It's self-realization.
Swamiji, what is the role of the guru?
See now, guru is a Sanskrit word. It has two letters, gu and ru. Gu stands for ignorance in Sanskrit. Ru stands for that which dispels ignorance. So guru means one who dispels your core ignorance. So the real purpose of a guru is he has destroyed his core ignorance. Therefore Hindu monks wear a fire-colored dress. How fire dispels darkness, so the darkness inside has to be dispelled. When he has dispelled his darkness inside, he helps others in dispelling their inner darkness of ignorance. That's the role of a guru.
You need a guide, you need a teacher to teach. So we have trained teachers around the world. Just like yoga, you cannot do it just by reading a book or watching it. It's always better to have an instructor. In the first 2 days, 2-3 days, then it's do-it-yourself by technique. I see a sea of change, and I attribute this to the painstaking work of hundreds and thousands of yoga teachers and spiritual leaders, and people like you who have really brought in, the spirituality to the mainstream and make it more acceptable. Hey, it is not something that takes you out there, it's something very practical which can ground you well and make you feel happy about yourself.
Yeah.
A guru really depends on the seeker, what you're seeking, and every seeker will probably eventually get the guru he deserves. But for me, nothing can ever be taught to somebody else.
Right.
Nothing. Nobody can teach anything to anybody. So whatever has to happen inside.
I love that.
So if a guru can move or orient his student,
Right.
or the seeker,
Right.
to go inside,
Exactly.
I think he is the guru.
Common man understand.
Who is Dattatreya Mahavishnu?
Oh, well, I could spend hours talking about him. Well, on a physical level, he was a humble man, a weaver, that was able to become a successful businessman and later devoted his life to the enlightenment of mankind. He was fortunate to have different gurus, including Dr. Rao, and studied with the Siddhas, and developed this practice that he calls simplified Kundalini yoga. So what his great value is to take something that's really very maybe complicated and abstract, mystical to some people, and bring it down to a level that was so simple that the average man and woman could understand it, and to develop a practice that everybody could practice. Householders, children, anybody. Like when we look at the simplified exercises, maybe not everybody can do sun salutations and headstands, but everybody can go through the simplified exercises. Maybe not everyone's ready to do sadhana in the cave or do their yoga tapas, but everybody can sit for a half hour every day. And so Swamiji developed a program that was very easy to connect through activating the third eye and bringing the Kundalini up and gaining direct access to those faculties of higher awareness we find through a simple initiation, people got awakened. And so Dattatreya Maharishi is thought of as a great philosopher. He's a great poet. He's a great scientist. His practices are now being brought into the education system in India, in schools all over the country. It's actually part of the curriculum. And so he was also nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. His whole life was dedicated to world peace. And so the World Community Service Center then and now, to this day, it's still growing. We still have millions of people all over the world.
What is Kundalini Yoga?
Well, that's perfect, because Kundalini Yoga is all about the yoga of your Kundalini, which is your life force energy. So everything in life has life force. Something is animating your existence. It's flowing in our nervous system. It's flowing in our chi, which these meridians that the Chinese found are areas of low resistance and high connectivity that help biomagnetism go into the cell structure. There are also these toroidal fields, electromagnetic fields around our body. So Dattatreya Maharishi was a great siddha that was able to explain what biomagnetism is. He could explain. We know that there's an auric field. Scientists have been measuring electromagnetic fields around bodies, around cells, around the earth, around the galaxy for many, many years. So Kundalini is the science of this energy. And so, for instance, we have within everything that exists, there is something expressing, from latent potential to patent expression. So that outer expression is the yang. It's what extends out. It's the positive. And to anything that appears or comes out of or is changed by, it's only relative to the source from which it came or is differentiated by, which we'll call the negative. So we have positive, negative, yang, yin, expansive, contractive. We have protons and we have electrons. We have a power pushing out of the atom. We have what's called the valence field, or the electrons pushing inward. So there's a system of expansion, contraction, and there's a field around every atom. When atoms come together, by their electromagnetic fields, they form these sacred geometries that form elements and compounds, different molecules. Every molecule is a combination of atoms. Every atom has a certain polarity. So as the energy moves through the molecule, it has a pattern. And that's what gives that molecule its character, or the way it acts or performs or reacts or bonds to another element. And so these elements form completely more complex structures. You can see consciousness organizing into more complex structures or sacred geometry, like a lattice work of consciousness, creating greater configurations of articulated consciousness, which is intelligence. This is the basis of all intelligence, which forms the cell then. So we go from the organelle, which are these systems of molecules working together to either extract energy and digest it, to communicate. Each cell is like a little individual being in itself, like plankton or diatoms. Most of the creatures on Earth are some single-celled creature. So our physical body is actually a universe to billions of little creatures. Single-celled creatures we call cells. And every cell has a polarity. If you go back to your old biology class, they always make a circle. They put a plus on the top, a negative on the bottom, and the chromosomes align by the polarity before the cell divides. We are a compilation of cells. We too have a positive charge at the top of the head, a negative charge at the bottom of the tailbone, and a current flows up through the top, which the yogis call the Kundalini. Yeah. Now the earth itself, we're a part of a greater system of organizing intelligence. Each individual being or human being is like a cell in the body of God. We look at the earth as the Gaia or the Gaiam, the mother. We see something is created out of mass, which is made up of atoms. It too has an electromagnetic field. There's a north pole, there's a south pole. There's an electromagnetic field around the earth. A compass needle points to the North Pole because it feels the field in the air, right? And the earth is part of a greater system of organizing intelligence we call the solar system. So in the middle of the sun, you have a positive and a negative. You have an electromagnetic field as well as a gravitational field. And this is providing life for all the parts within it that we call the solar system. Our solar system is yet a part of a greater set of organized intelligence that we call the galaxy. And the galaxy too has in the center of it this force that is being created, expansive force, that is causing stars to be born. It too has a field, a positive and a negative. And all the galaxies are part of superclusters of galaxies that are a part of this thing we're calling the Big Bang. And what we're seeing is both the expansive force as galaxies and time and space itself are growing like a balloon expanding in through the pure potentiality, but always with a relationship back to the source, causing a pressure point within, the force coming inward, which Dattatreya Maharishi explained in his books on the unified force. And so this is the force that creates the whirling motion of the energy particle, which creates the atomic structure, which creates matter, which creates life. So from the smallest constituents of energy particles, atoms, molecules, and cells, to the greater macrocosms of human beings, planets, stars, galaxies, and universes, we see there are fields within fields within fields, all interacting and connecting as one, just different strata of the same consciousness. So when we get back to Kundalini, when we breathe, we draw in this prana, or vital air. The air is filled with both the positive and the negative energy. And in our septum are areas that absorb those charges. The negative charges in the left, the positive on the right. Then there are two nerve conduits that come down the sides of our spine. They're known as the Inda and the Pingala, the sun and the moon energies, Surya and Chandra. And they merge at the base of the spine, and they begin to move between these two poles. And each place where the energy moves, they call a chakra, like we were talking about earlier. It moves like a wheel, so it goes round and round. And each place where the energy is changed, it corresponds with a different endocrine gland. And you'll see that they're paired, or there's a mirror image of. There's two parts, a positive and a negative. So at the root chakra, at the base of the spine, we have Muladhara. And that's associated with our physical strength and procreative energies, the sexual energy, the source of life itself, the thing that makes us physically tick. So just like a current runs into your house, and maybe it's coming at 220 volts, it has to be converted into maybe 110 volt. And then that one current moving through your house, like this one current moving up your spine, needs to be converted depending on what appliance, a computer, a refrigerator, a light bulb. The energy is converted to a different gradient. And that's what these chakras do. So the Kundalini is connecting with this confluence of energy. When we breathe in, we're drawing in more prana, more life force. It's moving into the base of the spine where it forms the primal life force current we call Kundalini Shakti. And if you look within our endocrine system, with men we have this two paired glands we call the testicles. There's two, one on the left, one on the right. Women have a paired set of ovaries, one on the left, one on the right. And these are the glands that create the hormones, the estrogen, the testosterone, which are the chemically encoded patterns from the energy that is formed moving through this chakra. So as the energy moves from the right side to the left, in either gender, it goes around and round, left to right, right to left, left to right, right to left, round and round and round, forming a chakra, a wheel, the circulating energy. As it moves up, it's going to go to Svajasthana. It's going to work with the adrenalines. One side's more positive, one's more negative. And as it goes from positive to negative to positive, round and round, that's a circle. And so forth, Mani Param, the pancreas, the spleen, Anahat, which is like a paired butterfly, goes from right to left. Vishashuddha, the throat center, is the thyroid, from thymus to thyroid. And this is glands on both sides, and the parathyroids, two sides, spinning round and round. When we get to the third eye, the sixth center, the Ajna chakra, we have the pituitary and the pineal gland. And instead of being side to side, they're more fore and aft, but they're still circulating around. And then at the top, the Sahasrara chakra, the crown chakra, we have the two hemispheres of the brain, the right and the left. And so the energy goes from right to left and left to right. So when we're given the initiation to Turiya, through Dattatreya's Kundalini initiation, first we activate the third eye, which connects you with your life force current, which begins to draw up the Kundalini through the chakras, opening them up very naturally, and then it comes out to the top of the head. And it begins to activate the crown chakra, which is then developing our latent potential. And in a later part of the initiation, we actually come and we give some diksha. We open up the crown chakra so that this energy starts to create, it begins to develop the cellular connectivity in our brain, what's called dendritic branching. And through this greater connectivity in our higher senses in what are called the temporal and frontal lobes of the brain. So just imagine a crown is placed on your head and it's this upper portion. So the Kundalini Shakti is actually activating this latent potential, or the sixth, Swamiji would call it the sixth sense.
Yeah.
The sense of who we are and why we're born it naturally develops as your Kundalini awakens. So Kundalini yoga is really about opening up the chakras, opening up your life force energy, and developing this latent sense and this latent potential to develop greater self-awareness and then God realization.
Kundalini yoga means our own Shakti, which is hidden inside our vertebra, the lower part of the vertebra. And the ancient Tirumula have given a formula to raise the Kundalini. There are different methods for raising the Kundalini. Chanting of mantra and doing some other asanas, making the body here and there movement. He made one method of a touch method. It was brought out by Tirumula, the Siddha.
Right.
So with that method, our Maharishi brought very easier. He has given to all the people, even for the ladies. And in ancient ladies, it is the Kundalini yoga was denied for ladies. It was denied, even for their monthly periodical period that may do some harm. So they denied. He made it more easy. He had given to all the people and raised the Kundalini from the Mooladhara to the highest chakra called Akana chakra. There are Kundalini yoga says there are 7 chakras, and our Patanjali yoga says there are 7 chakras in the human body. And Mooladhara, such Swadhisthana, Manipura, Anagata, Shakti, Akana, and Durya or Sahasrara. He simply raised the Kundalini from Mooladhara to this Akana chakra. This Akana chakra is the control for the mind and way to the control of the body and way to the mind. It totally controls the body organs and body nervous system, totally body control, and it opens way to the mind also. So straight away when the Kundalini Shakti is raised here, Kundalini is nothing but the soul, the collection of soul, our own soul. That is nothing but whirling wave, mere a wave. That was rotating, is spinning itself, some collections. He raised through this from Mooladhara through our vertebra. In the vertebra there are 3 nadis which are connected to this our left nostril and right nostril. Center to that one nadi is there which is called Shulumana nadi or the center nadi or the nadu nadi. Through that only all the centers, all the endocrine glands called in the medical term, and we call this chakras, all the chakras are connected. So he is raising the Kundalini through that center nadi to this Akana chakra. The mind is nothing but the wave generated from the soul or from the Kundalini Shakti. So the Kundalini Shakti, when it is the bottom area, the mind will be functioning with the earthly enjoyment. When it comes out of our this area, it goes to the universal thinking. If it is below this area, this will be bodily enjoyment. When it comes up from the shoulder, it is universal enjoyment. When he comes here, his body is coming under his control, and his mind is also getting focused. When the soul is taken here inside this point, this Akana chakra, the mind is focusing, which is called meditation. Meditation is not the concentration. Concentration is different, meditation is different. Concentration means you can focus your mind at a point, at your will. Here meditation is something different. You are focusing the mind to its origin.
Right.
Where from the mind generated, where from the mind have come. So the mind is going to its origin. When it is focusing, the mind waves simply goes down, goes down, goes down. One fine morning, there will not be any mind. If there is no mind, no body, no world, no ego, no illusion, no imprints, everything goes off. Here in India, in our area, he was called common man philosopher. not the scholar's philosopher. Because he made it very easy in the scientific world. Everything is of energy particle, and out of this energy particle only the energy comes out, and the whole universe is filled with that energy, which is called universal magnetism. That magnetism is within the human body and in every being and non-being. Only that energy, that magnetic energy alone moves through the eyes, through the ear, through the nose, through the tongue, through the skin, and through the brain. It is sensing light, hearing, smelling, tasting, and the touching, and even thought. He made it more easier to capture that. He has given a methodology called Kunalini Yoga.
What is Kriya Yoga?
Well, Kriya Yoga generally refers to release. Kriya, the word Kriya, refers to a releasing of where there are blocks in energy, kind of like a Kundalini awakening. We find there are 72,000 nadis in the body. So Kriyas are used, or Kriya practices are used to release the blockages so the energy can flow. Now when we talk about Kriya Yoga, that's a specific type of yoga that is practiced primarily through self-realization fellowship or Kriya yogis, but Sri Sri Ravi Shankar has a Sudarshan Kriya. Again, he uses some breath, controlled breathing, pranayam, he uses some mantra. We were over with Guruji at the Kriya Research and Center and Ashram over in Allahabad, and he was giving us some physical practices, the energization exercise. There was different sounds we make, different a mantra, different breathing again, in order for us to open up. He says, think of your spine and your brain as an altar of God, which I love.
Yeah.
And so here's an example of how Kriya can help release physical, mental, and emotional blockages for us to connect with the source. You've developed the Sudarshan Kriya, amongst other tools and training that you offer. Can you explain to us a little bit about how Sudarshan Kriya works and pranayam? Maybe explain to the viewer a little bit about biomagnetism or the energy in the body.
You know, there is a rhythm in nature, seasons come in time, and there's winter, there is spring, and then there is summer, and there is fall. The nature undergoes a rhythm. There is a rhythm in the nature. Similarly, there is a rhythm in the body which we call biorhythm. You get the urge for nature calls at some times, and then you feel sleepy and then hungry. There is certain rhythm in the body. Similarly, if you observe keenly, there is a rhythm in our breath also. Unfortunately, we don't pay any attention to this thing called breathiness. The first thing we did coming into the planet is we took a deep breath in. The last thing we will be doing is we breathe out. And the whole time we have been breathing in and out, we have never paid attention to our breath. Breath has a lot of secrets to offer to us. Here, there is a rhythm in the breath, and there is a corresponding rhythm in our thought pattern. And also there is a rhythm in our emotions, the feelings that we have. Now, Sudarshan Kriya is that which brings in harmony between all these rhythms. And so it makes you feel, it allows you to feel the bliss that is buried deep within us. You experience that blissful state right away in half an hour. And it has multiple health benefits. It helps in, depression, to get over depression. It helps in hypertension, and many researches have been done on this also. How it the breath impacts our genes, how breath impacts our state of mind, you know. And the effectiveness of this technique is what has made it so popular around the world now. Millions around the world are enjoying, and we have made teachers for this.
Can you explain to the viewers what Kriya Yoga is?
Kriya Yoga is a science of concentration of truth on shortest span of time. Truth exists everywhere. Take a stone. By concentrating on a stone, we can find truth. It will take million years. I can concentrate on water, on a tree, on a mountain. We will get the truth. It will take million years. If I want truth to be experienced in one lifetime, then Kriya Yoga science explains, concentrate on self. When I am concentrating on self, then we are getting the all atom molecules which are present outward.
Who is Sri 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 Shiva Baba Yogi? I know you did extensive studies with him, and so who is he?
Well, Shiva Bala Yogi really wasn't a teacher. He was a yogi. Vettatiri instructed us. He gave us practices. He was able to answer questions. And this is an integral part of one's spiritual practice. Shiva Bala Yogi was, I mean this respectfully, but he was kind of a freak of nature. He's an exception to the rule. He was at 13, Shiva, or God, awakened within him, and he had a vision, and he spontaneously sat, crossed his legs, and went into a samadhi. So that's an exception. That doesn't happen to most people. I'd have glimpses of that on the top of the mountain, but he sat, and he started sitting 23 hours a day for 8 years in a row. So his whole life was in a samadhi. He didn't live in the physical world. He expanded into the totality. And then he sat for another 4 years, over 12 hours a day. So he completed 12 years total of yoga tapas and became very famous and well respected amongst all the gurus. I mean, none other than one of my early gurus, Satya Sai Baba, the one that guided me as a child in meditation, and who I later got to meet in Puttaparthi. He's now in Mahasamadhi. He's left his body. But when I went to visit him in Puttaparthi, he told me. Matter of fact, I was sitting with a group of students that called me to go see Shiva Bala Yogi, his students. He directed me. He said, when you become to the point where you're ready to do yoga tapas, you need a yogi. So I started my yoga tapas with Vettatiri Maharishi, and we were sitting 12 hours a day in his ashram in Chennai. And then even my guru Vettatiri suggested I sit with Shiva Bala Yogi. Chuni Lal Lahiri, my Kriya master, told me you need to sit with Shiva Bala Yogi. Guru Nath in Pune told me you need to sit with Shiva Bala Yogi. So I've been hearing that I needed to sit with Shiva Bala Yogi by at least a dozen gurus. So it had got my attention. And there's an interesting story, if I can add, where I was sitting in the Calvary Continental Hotel in Bangalore, and as often happens in India, my ride couldn't make it, so all of a sudden I wasn't going to go to Puttaparthi. So I thought, what am I going to do tonight? I had nothing to do until wait till tomorrow for the next taxi. So I went down into the lobby, and there was a young Dutch girl that was talking to some other Europeans, and she saw I was a Westerner, and I was looking around. She goes, oh, come sit with us. And it's very common for spiritual people in that organization to invite you into their table and become a part of their group. We're all brothers and sisters. And in the middle of a conversation about Sai Baba, she stopped. And she looked at me and she goes, oh, you have to see Shiva Bala Yogi. Now, I hadn't mentioned him. She knew I was writing, at that time I was writing my book, Looking for God, and she knew I was interviewing gurus. And so I said, okay, I'll put that on the list. She mentioned that he's in the outskirts of Bangalore, and I said, okay, I'll make a time and I'll make sure to make time in my trip to go see him. And she started finishing her story, and then all of a sudden she stopped again, as if somebody had stopped her dead in her tracks, you know, and she goes, oh, you have to see him right now. And she got up, she went outside, she got a rickshaw, says, get in, hurry up. And the rickshaw took off to Shiva Bala Yogi's ashram. And as you know, I think I told this story interviewing Jagadish when we went to the Shiva Bala Yogi ashram.
Yeah.
But then this man named Mr. Singh, who is now teaching in the United States under another name, greeted me with, oh, Steve, Swamiji's been waiting for you. He's ready to give you initiation into Dhyan. So I'm thinking, oh, the Dutch girl must have called the ashram to tell them I'm coming. How sweet of her to do that, and for how nice that they were obliging me. But no, it was the other way around. It was Shiva Bala Yogi that had contacted her and said, hey, get his butt in that rickshaw, and I want him right now. So he wanted to see me before the program started. So I sat down, and Mr. Singh came out and applied some vibhuti to our third eye. Vibhuti is sacred ash that he had charged with his life force, or Shakti. And as soon as it applied, I went to a samadhi, and I just sat, for 5 hours I sat there. So Shiva Bala Yogi is unique that he didn't really teach. He just generated so much energy. The blind could see, the lame could walk. I had a broken kneecap. It was very hard for me to sit cross-legged. So I asked Swamiji, I said, can you do anything for my knee? I heard you were a powerful healer. And he just blew on some vibhuti, a little cube. He says, put this on your, scratch them up and put it on your knee. Part of me is thinking, how is putting ash on my knee going to make any difference? But you see, it was full of life force energy and with the intention of healing. So as that energy went in there, my knee healed that day. And from that day to this day, it has never hurt me. I had a fractured patella, and I can sit for hours on end. I sit 6 hours a day typically, and my knee is fine. So Shiva Bala Yogi was a powerful healer, and he's the one that guided me to yoga tapas. So when I was sitting in Bangalore, he had me sitting, I was moving up from 12 hours a day, then I moved to 14 hours a day, and then 16 hours a day, and then 18 hours a day, and then 20 hours a day, and finally for 23 hours a day consecutively for 40 days and nights. And so I couldn't have done that on my own, and that's why having a guru is so important. I could not sit for 23 hours a day comfortably on my own and be in samadhi. It was through the grace of the guru that I connected with that powerful state. He was transferring his energy, which is Shaktipad, and that's why I came to teach Shaktipad. It was through him. So when he would come to America to go to my class, or he was traveling to other cities, I would go with him, and he would transfer energy to me, and because he didn't walk around. His foot was injured. He'd been bitten by a cobra, and his foot was infected, and he couldn't walk very well. So he had Jagadish and I take the vibhuti that he'd blessed and apply it to the third eye of the people in Los Angeles or Santa Barbara or San Diego or Orange County. And that's how I learned to start transmitting Shaktipad, was through him working through me. And so the yogi is for the most advanced spiritual practitioner, but once you're ready, they can take you to places you can't even dream of. So Jai Guru Shiva Bala Yogi Maharaj.
What are tapas?
Tapas is when you're sitting for at least 12 hours a day and you're in samadhi. If you're sitting there and your mind is just talking, you're not in samadhi. So you're doing your sadhana, or spiritual practice, you're doing a meditation of one sort or another. But if you're talking, if you're chanting a mantra, if you're breathing up and down your spine, if you're picturing yourself in the moon or some other place, if you're doing something, you're not in samadhi, you see. Once you get to a state where you can get into samadhi, the idea is to sustain the samadhic state. And that's why I always emphasize, with very few exceptions, that people need a guru. Even Ramana Maharshi, who just sat spontaneously, he sat in a holy place and he was surrounded by other people with spiritual energy. So we're here to share with each other. And tapas is when you are in basically samadhi for at least 12 hours a day for some length of time.
Extended time.
Right. For me, it was a few months because I had the most powerful guru in the world working me. I had him every day he was working with me. Matter of fact, he would materialize. Sometimes I would see his light body in the room. And he would take me to, first you go to other worlds and then you move outside of the time-space continuum. So people say, well, what was it like? It wasn't like anything. There was no sense of I having an experience. There just was what is. There just is what is. I am that which I am. It is as it is. And you can't really explain what it is, because to describe it is to define it and make it separate from something else. So it's within everything else. It's what enables us to see, hear, and experience life, yet it is beyond all experience.
Steve, I'm so happy that you have taken up this concept, this project, where you are focusing on world peace and how to bring about world peace from a realization point, from the spiritual point. Okay, now when Swamiji did tapas, the 12-year very arduous tapas, beginning in 1949, then he completed the tapas in 1961. All through these years, the people around him did not know what he was doing the tapas for, what the objective of the tapas was. So when he got out of tapas on the 7th of August 1961, and he offered to deliver a message to the people who were there to see him, to have his darshan on that day. And to everyone's surprise, he told them that the objective of his tapas, Lord Shiva made him do the 12-year tapas for the sake of world peace.
Our ancient people have given another methodology called Nayana Diksha, through the eyes, sending the power through the Guru's eye to the disciple eye, and the Kundalini Shakti is again raised to the Sahasrara, this point. This is the point of the totality, and this is the point for the mind. And this is the control of the body, and this is the control of the mind. When he goes here, his mind becomes more sharp, and the mental wave from the beta wave, alpha wave, again it comes to the gamma wave, and in days he goes to the no mind area. If there is no mind, no wave. When there is no mind means only existence exists, God exists. He become God. In that condition, actually all his desires goes off. Even the worries that he had already with the illusion mind. So all the worries, anger and all the desires are out of only illusionary mind. The illusionary mind goes and the mind becomes more strong. It becomes a weapon. It becomes an instrument. Previously, the man was used by the mind, and after this, he is using the mind. So mind becomes his servant.
Einstein said everything that exists is something that's changing. We're looking, and so what is changing, what is moving, action, life itself is Shakti. If you say, what is God? God is Shakti. There's the latent potential and there's the patent expression. So we all draw our life from the same source. You and I and everybody, we draw life force to cause our heart beating through the same connection with God, as it were. This is Shakti. And so Shakti is life force, and we all have it within us. Shakti Pat is the transference of Shakti. So we're all calibrated at different levels. And so presumably when you come to a guru or a teacher, they're at a higher calibrated level of consciousness. You feel something around them. It shifts you in some way. It brings more joy, happiness, peace, clarity, and so forth. And so the problem is most students are kind of stuck at the level they're at, and they don't know how to go higher because they haven't been there yet. It's like someone's been on AM radio, and you got to show them to find FM. And you go, oh, here it is. You have to take them there. And so as you know in our classes, what I'm constantly doing is taking you from wherever you're at and gently trying to pull you up. Now, in any one talk, satsang, or meditation, you're only going to be able to go up a little bit because you will rise to the level of your own resistance. So we're all moving through our samsaras. We're all moving through our programming, as it were. But the meditation starts, the Shaktipat in particular, it just moves you through it in rapid succession. It's like a hot knife going through butter, where some people can work on psychoanalysis and self-analysis and some kind of mental discipline. They could spend years, lifetimes, thinking about their own thoughts and problems from their past lives or whatever. Shaktipat just moves you to a whole nother level. You just skip that. Just skip the neurosis. Just skip the ego. Just skip the attachment to what isn't real and dive into what's real. The love is right here. Why let anything else be in your way? So as we move higher in levels of consciousness, we experience a greater profundity of clarity, insight, happiness, peace, and love. It's all there, and you don't have to believe me. The beautiful thing is you experience it for yourself. You're either feeling more happy, you're feeling more peace, it's an enduring peace, not a fleeting peace, or you're not. The proof's in the pudding, and that's what I love about Shaktipat.
Yeah.
It rocket launches you. It moves you through lifetimes of other practices. Take a deep breath into your abdomen and just check in with the life force energy that's flowing into you through the breath, the prana. Collect any emotions or tensions that there might be stored inside you and release them with the outgoing breath. Unbutton your mind, unzip your fears, your resistance, step out of yourself. And as spirit, let us imagine that we're stepping into a hot, bubbling jacuzzi, a jacuzzi of consciousness, a jacuzzi of love. So as you inhale, let us physically imagine we're stepping into a hot tub, and there's a warm, bubbly feeling lapping up inside us. And there's a warmth that is soaking into our muscles, tendons, and bones. Breathe in and feel that warmth. And as you breathe out, let your shoulders drop and let everything go. Let peace flow through your body. Inhaling again. Breathe deep. And just check in with why you're here. Check in with the life force within you that is you. For in meditation, we're not trying to go someplace, but rather we're checking in with what already is, what we already are. So breathe into that which you already are. Connect with the life force within you that is you. And as you breathe out, let us just set our body and mind aside in the jacuzzi with us and just soak up this feeling of love. Gentle breath in. And imagine the atmosphere around us being purified and blessed by the divine. Feel the atmosphere around you being purified and blessed by the divine. The divine energy descends upon you, and you are purified and blessed. Just imagine the divine energy sprinkling, like raining light, entering into your body and soul, purifying you, making you a pure vehicle or channel for your own indwelling spirit to shine forth and guide you. Salutations out of respect to your mother, your fathers, your gurus. Let's think of the lineage of the Tatiri Maharishi and any other teachers you might have. Think of the Lord, think of the divine. By whatever name you call God, let us recognize that which is greater than our individual self and hold a space in our heart to receive that grace. And as you breathe out, just let go and now slowly close your eyes and just hear the sound of my voice. And just imagine we're soaking in the hot tub together, floating in fullness, feeling a relaxation state, deepening. And this life force energy going into our muscles and tendons and bones. And with your eyes closed now, slowly roll your eyes up as if you were gazing at a point between your eyebrows. And don't worry at first exactly where that point is. Trust your intuition. And if your eyes flutter, twitch, or get sore, simply drop your gaze slightly. And let the feeling be your guide. Just follow that feeling down the corridors of your own mind. It's like your homing beacon. And anytime you're distracted by a thought, a feeling, a sound, just see it as a reminder to go back to the feeling. Just stay focused on the point between the eyebrows. So this is like a light switch. You already have a life force energy in your body. The Kundalini Shakti is already flowing. But as you engage this point, you stimulate your pituitary and pineal glands, endocrine glands that lie behind this point you're focusing on. This releases peptides, different amounts of dopamine, serotonin, and creates a natural relaxation response that will lower your brainwave frequencies from the beta state over 14 cycles per second, down into alpha, then into theta, and eventually down into a deep delta brainwave frequency. So in other words, we're going to start going very deep, very quickly into meditation. So breathe into this point between your eyebrows. Galvanize your focus there. Breathe out and let go. And remember, your meditation is not trying to do something. You're not trying to meditate. You're allowing yourself to be meditated. You're allowing your spirit to guide the meditation. All you need to do is enjoy the feeling by tuning into the feeling. So breathe in and tune into the feeling. For you don't have to go outside yourself to connect with your own indwelling spirit. Breathe out and feel the subtle currents flowing through your body. Feel it in your nervous system. Imagine the nerves moving up and down your spine and extending out through your vertebral column into your vital organs and to all your extremities. Like a root system from a tree, you have subtle nerves moving out to every part of your body. Breathe in and connect with those nerves. Matter of fact, make a fist and curl your toes to test that. You just sent a signal through your body to create that contraction. And now release the hands and toes and relax even deeper and feel yourself just letting go and letting God take over the meditation. Lord, help me to be a pure vehicle for your love and light and wisdom. Breathe in again and feel the energy in your nervous system, and then feel it in your chi. Imagine the acupuncture chart with all the acupressure points and all the meridians connecting the points. There are areas of low resistance and high connectivity conducting biomagnetism through your body. Just imagine it, feel it. Breathe in again and imagine the electromagnetic fields around your body, your auric field. You have a positive charge on the top of the head, you have a negative charge on your tailbone. The Kunalini is flowing up and out and around your body in a toroidal field. Just imagine it. In your mind's eye, picture your entire body enshrouded in a cocoon of golden white light. Gentle breath in. And just tell yourself, I am open to receive. For the more open you are to receive, the more you will receive. It's through grace that we enlighten. And with your eyes closed, just gazing into your third eye, that's really all you need to do. Just sitting here and gazing into your mind's eye will help develop this connection with your own self, your own spirit. But to develop this energy even more, I'd like to invite you to bring your hands up. Keep your eyes closed. Keep your elbows bent. And slowly bring your hands together with palms flat until they're almost touching. And then just wave your hands apart and together again. And see if you can feel the electromagnetism in your body. So of course, once you move your hands, there'll be blood flow, and that will be one sensation. Your body's generating heat, so that's another sensation. But as you wave your hands together and apart, it's almost like playing with magnets. You can actually feel the stickiness or sponginess between your hands. And I just want you to observe that sensation and that feeling and make a note of how strong it is. Because throughout this meditation, we're going to be building up this energy so that you can physically feel the difference. Now bring your left hand down, and you can rest it on your knee with your index finger and thumb connected or left open if you wish. And then take your right hand and bring it up so the palm is facing away from you, as if you were going to wave hello to me. And I want you to observe the sensation in the palm of your hand. And there may be some tingly sensation, some pulse, some heat growing. So think of your hand as like a satellite dish. And I'm going to send you some energy, just like you would pick up a transmission from a broadcasting network. We're broadcasting Shaktipat. Spiritual energy is moving from me to you, and you can always connect with it anywhere, anytime, any day, psychically. But right here, as you're listening to me and watching this video, observe the sensation on the palm of your hand. And then move that energy up to the tips of your fingers. And with your eyes still closed, bring your hands over, and with your middle finger, just touch that point. Feel that place between the eyebrows. and allow the magnetism that's in your hands or hand to move into this third eye point. Just gently tap it, and then you can bring that right hand down as well, and either connect the index finger with the thumb or just leave your palms open. Spine up straight, chin parallel to the floor, your eyes closed, you're gazing into the point between the eyebrows. Take a deep breath and galvanize your focus there. And release and let go. And that's all there is to it. You just connect and let that feeling be your guide. And the more you connect with it, the stronger it gets. And the stronger it gets, and the better it feels until you're in love. That love will take over your life. And it'll begin to move through all you think and say and do. Gentle breath in. And release and let go. And observe the feeling. Observe the subtle currents in your body. Observe the floatiness, the energy, the Shakti. And then observe the part of you that is observing the feeling. What is that is conscious of this? Now, remaining conscious of this feeling, I want you to slowly open your eyes again. And I invite you to gaze into my eyes. So this is a form of Diksha or Shaktipat. I'm going to send energy from my eyes into your eyes. And the more open you are to receive it, the more you will receive. This energy is simply love. I want to share the love I'm feeling with you. So breathe in and just gaze into my eyes. Again, breathing in and absorb it like a sponge. See if you can connect with me and come into this state. Feel this love. Feel the energy growing. And now close your eyes again and internalize the experience. Roll your eyes up and gaze into the point between the eyebrows. Merge into the feeling. Like a river flowing into the sea. Allow your consciousness to merge with me. We are one.
Said Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. That means may all the worlds be happy.
Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanam Bhunattu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinamadhitamastama Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Arati ki jaya Balayogi ki. Arati ki jaya Balayogi ki. Shiva Balayogi Namo Namah Swami.
Shiva Balayogi Namo Namo Swami.
Sadhguru Maharaj ki
Jai.
Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let there be peace, peace, peace. Let the whole world be happy. Let the whole world be joyous. Let the whole world be free from conflicts. Let the world rejoice in the Lord's glory of ecstasy. Oh, peace, peace, peace.